Welcome to my channel Starlight Sci-Fi Stories. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The observation chamber hovered silently over a planet on the brink of extinction. No alarm sounded, no fleets fired their weapons, no one panicked. It was not fear that filled the chamber, it was anticipation. A quiet, calculated dread that spread in waves among 12 of the galaxy's most powerful species. They were creatures used to controlling outcomes, bending probabilities to their will, and yet none of them could change what was about to happen. Below, the planet turned slowly, its oceans glinting in sunlight, mountains casting sharp shadows, and clouds drifting lazily across continents. From a distance, it looked alive, peaceful, unthreatening. It had 8 minutes left. A symbol glowed red in the center of the chamber's holographic display. Around the circular chamber, delegates from 12 species watched the approaching destruction. Some were tall, crystalline beings, their translucent bodies refracting light in patterns that made their emotions readable. Others were squat and armored with natural plates like warships of flesh and bone. A few floated in controlled gravity fields, their forms twisting and expanding in the air as they whispered calculations to themselves. At the far end, an elder delegate, a being older than many of the civilizations gathered, leaned forward. His eyes, or whatever passed for eyes in his species, glimmered with a mix of curiosity and urgency. "Call the human," he said. His voice was soft, but it carried the weight of authority that silenced the room. The room fell silent. "A human?" asked one of the younger delegates, a being whose nervous energy shimmered in colors that made the elder's patience thin. "Yes," the elder said, "human, Elias Ward." "Why him?" asked another delegate. The elder did not answer immediately. He let the chamber sit in silence, the sound of the planet below spinning in the void their only companion. "Because he is unpredictable," the elder said finally, "and unpredictability is a weapon they cannot anticipate. A technician like no other." Elias Ward was halfway through his lunch, a bowl of noodles he had microwaved 3 hours ago when the call arrived. He was crouched in a maintenance corridor on Orbital Relay Station 14, cables spilling from a panel like colorful intestines. His workstation was a chaotic jumble of tools, data pads, and half-eaten food. He glanced at the blinking red light on his tablet. He ignored it. Then it blinked again and again. Finally, he sighed and tapped the accept button. The screen exploded into color. Dozens of alien faces, eyes, orbits, tentacles, antennae, each more alien than the last, staring directly at him. "Elias Ward," said the voice of the Cathari strategist, smooth and calm, "we require your immediate assistance." Elias looked down at his noodles, then back at the screen. "I gather this is urgent." "Your presence is critical," the voice replied. "Adjudicator engine has activated near the planet Calathas 7. It has determined the population must be eradicated." Elias swallowed a noodle. "I see, and you're calling me because..." Silence stretched across the holographic chamber. Finally, a voice added, "You are statistically inconsistent. Your species is unpredictable. That is why you are the only variable the engine cannot fully calculate." Elias leaned back, chewing slowly. "Ah, so you've tried everything else and failed, and now you want the messy human solution. Got it." A pause, then the strategist said simply, "Exactly. The Judicator engine." Elias switched to full-screen data. The Judicator engine hung near the edge of Calathas 7's orbit like a dark moon, lines of violet light rippling across its surface. It was enormous, silent, and indifferent. No engines, no weapons, no signals. Its glow pulsed like a heart or a mind. "Looks like someone built a thinking weapon," Elias muttered, more to himself than anyone else. "Not a bomb, not a ship, a computer that judges civilizations." "Correct," said the strategist. "It evaluates civilizations based on potential threat. Present capabilities are irrelevant. It determines which species might rise to dangerous levels in the future." Elias leaned closer to his tablet. "So this isn't a battle, this is Judgment Day." "Yes," said the strategist, "and if the engine decides incorrectly, an entire civilization dies." The countdown in the corner of his screen ticked down. Elias sighed. "So let me get this straight. You've already tried fleets, weapons, hacking, diplomatic signals, and none of it worked." "Everything has been attempted," said a delegate. "It is impervious to conventional attack." Of course it is, Elias said, standing and packing the cramped maintenance corridor. It doesn't fight back, it doesn't need to, it only observes, it calculates, and then it decides, which is exactly what you can't outgun. The chamber went quiet as he continued. You want me to mess with its calculations? I'm human. Humans are messy, illogical, unpredictable. That's what makes us dangerous to machines that think too far ahead. Several delegates tilted their heads in confusion. I'm going to confuse it, Elias explained, gesturing wildly. Flood it with human data it cannot process. History, culture, irrational choices, humor, courage, disasters where people made the wrong decision and survived. We are the exception, not the rule, and it will notice. The strategist tilted her head. You believe this will work? Yes, Elias said. I don't know why, I just do. The human solution. Within minutes, Elias began his work. He uploaded terabytes of human history, wars, alliances, rebellions, inventions, absurd mistakes, acts of bravery, and countless small, irrational acts of kindness. He showed the engine humans risking their lives to save one another, forgiving enemies, creating art, laughing in the face of danger. He streamed footage of disasters where humanity had survived against impossible odds, wedding ceremonies in the middle of riots, soldiers giving water to captured enemies, leaders making irrational decisions that somehow worked. And humor, humans laughed at their own failures, laughed at the universe, laughed at things they had no right to understand. The Judicator engine pulsed in response. Its violet lights shimmered faster, as if reading, processing, recalculating. In the war chamber, the numbers shifted. Future civilization risk, 87.4% right arrow, 79% right arrow, 63%. The delegates murmured, the strategist frowned. What is happening? She whispered. Elias shrugged. I told you, humans are impossible to predict, that's why we survive. Machines hate that, they want rules, we bend them, we break them, and somehow we live. The timer ticked down. The elder delegate who had called for Elias in the first place nodded slowly. It recognizes a variable it cannot compute. The human presence reduces certainty. The Judicator cannot conclude. Yes, Elias said, watching the spinning hologram. I'm messing with its mind, you're welcome. Countdown to uncertainty. As the minutes passed, Elias continued uploading, narrating, explaining, joking with the alien delegates as if they were students in a classroom. They watched in a mixture of disbelief and fascination. Every act of bravery, every laugh, every irrational human choice destabilized the engine's probability calculations. The delegates had thought themselves clever, calculating every outcome down to the last decimal. Yet here, in one maintenance corridor, a single human introduced chaos the engine could not tolerate. Suddenly, the Judicator engine emitted a pulse of light so bright that sensors across the chamber registered it as a spike in gravitational energy. The planet below quivered in orbit, a ripple passing through the atmosphere like a warning. Elias did not flinch. Relax, he muttered, it's just annoyed. One of the younger delegates, a being with scales that shimmered like oil on water, hissed. It is destabilizing the orbit. No, Elias said calmly, it's recalculating, it's unsure now, that's what I want. The room went silent, watching Elias flood the engine with humanity. Mistakes, laughter, irrational decisions, everything the machine hated, everything that could not be predicted or simulated. The countdown slowed, numbers flickered, the Judicator paused. The delegates whispered to themselves. The strategist's face was pale, even the elder looked tense. Elias smiled faintly. I told you humans were trouble. The cliffhanger. The Judicator engine pulsed once more. Then its lights dimmed in a slow, deliberate pattern. The countdown froze. 0000:59. No one in the chamber moved. Elias leaned back in his chair, exhausted but triumphant. That's what I'm talking about. 1 minute to go and now it doesn't know what to do. The alien delegates exchanged nervous glances. The machine had never hesitated before. Its judgment had always been final. And now, for the first time in 10,000 cycles, it hesitated. Elias tapped his tablet. Okay, now we wait. And somewhere in the shadows of space, the Judicator engine began to learn that humans could not be controlled. The Judicator engine pulsed in orbit above Calathas 7 like a massive, indifferent eye, its violet glow radiating across the planet. For the first time in millennia, it hesitated. Its calculations, which had always been absolute, faltered. It had encountered a human variable, and the chaos that one species could introduce was beyond its comprehension. Elias Ward leaned back in his chair, his fingers tapping rhythmically on the edge of the maintenance console. The room around him, the observation chamber filled with the galaxy's most powerful species, remained frozen in stunned silence. Every holographic display flickered as the Judicator reprocessed information. Every delegate watched, half in awe, half in terror. Elias didn't speak at first. He let the silence stretch because he knew it made them uneasy. Humans understood suspense differently than machines. Humans thrived in the uncertainty of consequences. That, he knew, was what made him valuable. Then finally he broke the quiet. "It's confused, that's a good thing, trust me, I've been confusing computers since I was 10. A planet on edge. Below them, Calathas 7 remained oblivious to the danger it had just narrowly escaped. Cities slept, oceans shimmered, mountains stood in quiet dignity. The planet had already experienced extinction events long before the Judicator engine arrived. Its life forms had survived cataclysms that no intelligent species had observed. It was not invincible, but somehow the odds had just shifted. The pulse from the Judicator engine spread through the planet's orbit. Satellites trembled, tectonic sensors registered minute quakes, and yet the world did not crumble. The machine had paused, unsure. Its algorithmic mind could not reconcile the unquantifiable chaos of human behavior. Elias knew better than to underestimate the engine. It was not dead, not beaten, it had merely paused. Hesitation could be exploited but not ignored. "Listen up," he said, turning to the assembled delegates. "It's like a chessboard, every move matters. If we rush, we die. If we hesitate, we die. If we act logically, we die. The only option left is unpredictable action." One of the crystalline delegates tilted his body, refracting the chamber's light in complicated patterns. "Explain," it said. "What do you propose?" Elias smiled faintly. "We do what humans do best, we improvise." Improvisation. He began to upload a second set of data streams to the Judicator engine. Not just human history, not just acts of courage and humor, but human imagination, art, poetry, music, absurd inventions, and impossible engineering feats. Humanity's greatest failures became examples of their tenacity. Civilizations that had survived plague, famine, war, and internal collapse without a single universal law guiding their actions. Every image, every video, every bit of irrational hope flowed into the Judicator. The machine analyzed, processed, and then paused again. Its algorithms began to conflict with each other, probabilities fracturing like shattered glass. "Look at that," Elias whispered, more to himself than the chamber. "It's starting to hesitate in a new way. That's called adaptation. That's what humans do. We force the universe to adjust around us." Across the chamber, the elder delegate nodded. "This is remarkable. The human is not following protocol, yet its actions are altering the outcome. Perhaps this species is a factor even the engine cannot eliminate." "Yes," Elias said, eyes glued to the holographic display. "Exactly that. We're messy, we're loud, we're irrational, and machines hate that." The countdown clock on the Judicator's interface flickered. Impact countdown 000027. 27 seconds, Elias murmured. Not much time for humans to save themselves, let alone a whole planet. The moment of truth. The room tensed, delegates shifted, tentacles twitched, crystalline limbs refracted light like nervous signals. Elias didn't move. He had learned over decades that panic solved nothing. Humans rarely panicked in the face of the impossible. They acted even when the odds were absurd. He activated a sequence he had designed weeks earlier, never imagining he would use it this way. It was a code not meant to destroy but to confuse, to overwhelm the Judicator engine with choice after choice that could not be logically predicted. "Humanity is full of contradictions," he whispered. "We are the exceptions to all the rules. You can calculate probability all you want, but we bend reality." Data streamed faster. Random acts of humanity, children saving animals, artists risking life for creation. Scientists defying logic for discovery flooded the machine's systems. Patterns emerged and broke apart in the same moment. The Judicator hesitated, pulsed, and then flickered in violet light. Impact countdown 000012. 12 seconds. Humanity's edge. Elias gritted his teeth. 1 second could determine whether millions lived or died. One decision could end civilization as they knew it. He leaned close to the console, whispering to the machine as if it could understand. You can't control this, you can't predict it, you can't calculate courage or love, you can't simulate hope. This is human, this is reality, and this is unstoppable. The judicator pulsed again. Its lights shimmered like a heartbeat. The algorithm tried to process the flood of irrational human behavior and failed. For the first time, it paused completely, indecision radiating in every calculated output. The delegates in the chamber gasped. The elder delegate whispered almost reverently, "It cannot decide." Elias stood upright, feeling the weight of the universe press against him. "Good," he said softly, "now we let it think." The engine's choice. Time stretched, 12 seconds became eternity. Then the judicator engine did something unexpected. Its violet lights pulsed once, twice, and then slowly began to dim. Its massive form, which had seemed poised to judge and destroy, seemed to retreat. Its orbit adjusted slightly, easing away from Calathas 7. The planet below stabilized. Oceans ceased trembling. Cities remained intact. The machine had made a decision, not a calculation, not a judgment, but a choice, perhaps the first choice it had ever made that was not purely algorithmic. And in that choice, humanity had survived. The chamber erupted, not in chaos but in stunned, quiet celebration. Delegates muttered to one another, trying to comprehend what they had witnessed. A human had altered the course of a machine that had never hesitated before. Elias leaned back exhausted. "I told you," he muttered, "humans are trouble." Recognition. The elder delegate approached, moving with the careful deliberation of a being unused to emotion. He placed a hand, if it could be called that, on Elias' shoulder. "You have done something unprecedented. You have survived where logic predicted failure. You have altered the outcome of a planet's fate with creativity, courage, and unpredictability." Elias shrugged. "I just did what humans do. We survive, we improvise, sometimes we even make it look intentional." The elder nodded slowly. "And yet, it is more than survival, it is influence. You have shown that a species can exist outside the bounds of prediction. That is a gift few can comprehend." Elias glanced at the chamber, the delegates, the judicator engine retreating into space. "I'm just human," he said. "That's the problem and the solution at the same time." The aftermath. Calathas 7 skis cleared, satellites stabilized, cities returned to their normal rhythms, life resumed as if nothing had ever threatened it. And yet everything had changed. Somewhere in the galaxy, word began to spread. A human had survived the judicator engine. A species, thought controllable by logic and probability, had bent the universe around them. For Elias, life returned to maintenance corridors, cables, and half-eaten noodles. Nothing else had changed, except everything had changed. Delegates watched him differently. The elder delegate spoke to him less formally, almost as if he were a peer. Even the strategist, the youngest and most calculating of all, regarded him with quiet respect. And somewhere above the planet, the judicator engine continued to observe, not to judge, not to destroy, but perhaps in its own alien way to learn. Elias leaned against his workstation, looking out at the endless stars beyond the station's hull. "You can't predict humans," he muttered. "You can't control them, you can't even understand them fully, but somehow we survive, and sometimes we save the galaxy in the process." A calm notification blinked. Another emergency, another threat, perhaps, but Elias smiled faintly. Humans thrived in chaos, humans improvised, and humans never ever gave up. He pressed accept. The galaxy, as it had always done, continued, and for the first time, humans were not just surviving in it, they were shaping it. The end.